Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Warriors, Steph Curry linked to $175 million MVP acquisition. The Golden State Warriors made one of the most impactful moves of the entire 2024-25 season by trading with the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler, and they're positioned to potentially make an even bigger splash this summer. Milwaukee Bucks big man Giannis Antetokounmpo is open to a trade, per Shams Charania of ESPN. Charania, who first reported the news Monday, May 12, at the NBA Draft Lottery in Chicago, said the two-time MVP is looking for a long runway of championship contention and the opportunity to play alongside a star of a similar caliber. Golden State can offer Antetokounmpo the latter in the form of Stephen Curry, though the team's championship window may only be 2 or 3 seasons long considering Curry's age, 37. That said, the relationship between Curry and Antetokounmpo, along with the Warriors' longtime interest in acquiring the Bucks star, could be enough to bridge the gap. Sam Amick of The Athletic laid out the situation on Tuesday. Antetokounmpo, who has been known to be a dream target of the Warriors for a long time, made a late-night appearance at Curry's party in San Francisco during All-Star Weekend. Warriors officials on hand took gleeful notice, including fellow attendee, Golden State owner Joe Lacob. Draymond Green and Kevin Looney were part of the get-together as well. Giannis and Steph, it should be noted, are both represented by the same Octagon agency. Still, it was a Warrior-centric event with one notable, and very large, exception. And while Golden State is deeply invested in its Jimmy Butler era at the moment, the reality about a player like Antetokounmpo is that his greatness could compel nearly every owner and GM in the league to adjust their plan. Dealing for Giannis Antetokounmpo complicated proposition for any NBA team getting Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo. Given the league's trade rules, Butler would almost certainly have to be part of any trade for Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo is playing on a 3-year deal worth $175 million and will earn $54 million next season. Meanwhile, Butler will also earn approximately $54 million in 2025-26. The Bucks don't own most of their own first-round draft picks over the next several years, so tanking doesn't make sense as a rebuilding strategy. As such, getting a high-level player in return for Antetokounmpo is likely a goal for Milwaukee. However, Butler is 35 years old and has had some regular season durability issues in recent years. Warriors may not have enough to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo getting Jimmy Butler of the Golden State Warriors. Even if the Bucks like Butler as the primary player in a hypothetical deal, the team is also certain to want a treasure trove of young players and draft assets in return for the two-time MVP forward/center who is still in the heart of his prime. Golden State has up to 4 first-round picks it can trade, along with second-year guard Brandon Podziemski. However, some of those draft selections will be less valuable depending on where they fall. The Warriors figure to be highly competitive for the next few years if they pair Curry and Antetokounmpo. And even after Curry takes a step or two back as a player and/or retires, Golden State would still have Antetokounmpo in his mid-30s around whom the team can build and remain competitive. Teams like the Houston Rockets and San Antonio Spurs are more equipped than the Warriors to trade for Antetokounmpo, but he will have a say in where he ends up, which could prove a major factor for the Warriors if the Bucks do, in fact, move Antetokounmpo this summer. Jimmy Butler's lack of involvement in Warriors' Game 4 loss gets Steve Kerr admission. The Golden State Warriors will go to battle on Wednesday night in Game 5 without the services of Stephen Curry, who hasn't quite recovered from the hamstring injury that he sustained in Game 1 of their second-round matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors will be facing long odds in winning this game, as this elimination game will be on the road and they will be without their best player, which means that Jimmy Butler will have to channel his playoff alter ego just so they can stave off elimination. Butler, however, looked like a mere mortal in Game 4, coming off a heroic effort in the Warriors' heartbreaking Game 3 loss over the weekend. The 35-year-old star put up just 14 points on 5-9 shooting from the field, and he was clearly looking like he wasn't 100% from a health standpoint. Not only was Butler continuing to deal with the hip injury he sustained in Round 1 against the Houston Rockets, he was also dealing with an illness in Game 4, as revealed by Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. Nonetheless, Kerr expects Butler to be at his best with the Dubs season hanging in the balance. Jimmy was under the weather last night. He really was not feeling well, and that definitely impacted him. Everyone knows who Jimmy is. He's one of the great playoff performers, and I expect him to have a big game tomorrow, Kerr said on the Willard and Dibs show, via 95.7 The Game on X, formerly Twitter. For the Warriors to stand a chance on the road in Game 5, Butler will have to perform like he did in Game 3, when he scored 33 points and was aggressive in attacking the basket. He better stay away from anything that could cause him to be under the weather tomorrow night. Warriors' last stand depends on Jimmy Butler. The Warriors acquired Jimmy Butler back in February with the intention of tapping into his playoff version that's led under-talented Miami Heat teams all the way to the NBA Finals. Butler, however, despite giving it his all, has simply ran into some injury woes or an illness that's prevented him from building a rhythm of dominance. Nonetheless, Butler alone will not be able to get the job done for the Warriors. Another big game from Jonathan Kuminga will be necessary for the Dubs to stay alive, while Buddy Hield and Brandon Podziemski have to be on point from beyond the arc as well. Perhaps Moses Moody will finally show up? Giannis Antetokounmpo linked to Warriors after a late-night appearance at Stephen Curry's party. As Giannis Antetokounmpo mulls his NBA future, teams around the league are gearing up for an aggressive pursuit. In Golden State, the Warriors are still dreaming of a Giannis/Stephen Curry pairing after watching them together at Curry's All-Star party this year in San Francisco. Giannis was reportedly the only non-Warriors player to attend. Antetokounmpo, who has been known to be a dream target of the Warriors for a long time, made a late-night appearance at Curry's party in San Francisco during All-Star weekend. Warriors officials on hand took gleeful notice, including fellow attendee, Golden State owner Joe Lacob, wrote Sam Amick of The Athletic. Giannis and Steph, it should be noted, are both represented by the same Octagon agency. Still, it was a Warrior-centric event with one notable, and very large, exception. And while Golden State is deeply invested in its Jimmy Butler era at the moment, the reality about a player like Antetokounmpo is that his greatness could compel nearly every owner and GM in the league to adjust their plan. All-Star Weekend is where super teams are born, and Giannis has been involved in several recruiting pitches already. Typically, as a model of player loyalty, it's Giannis who does the recruiting, actively trying to bring people to the Bucks. After a couple of disastrous seasons, however, Giannis' loyalty is being tested like never before, and some say it's only a matter of time before he asks out. Teams like the Spurs and Rockets have been named as the early frontrunners for Giannis, but the Golden State Warriors are lurking as another potential destination. Giannis and Steph have already established some relationship after the All-Star party, and the Greek Freak reportedly prefers a bigger market, like San Francisco, over playing for a small-town team. After the Jimmy Butler trade, Giannis' fit has become much harder to see, but there is faith they could make it work with arguably the best duo in the game between Giannis and Steph. Even at 37 years old, Steph is an elite talent, and he could take the Warriors to greatness with the proper team around him. As a 2x MVP, NBA champion, and 9x All-Star with averages of 30.4 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game on 60.1% shooting, Giannis is the best teammate Steph could hope for, and if the Warriors have a chance to get him, they must at least consider it. The only thing holding them back now is the price for his acquisition, which is expected to be historically high. With another 3 years and $176 million on his contract, the Bucks control his future, and they have the most leverage in any trade negotiations. For the Warriors to win the sweepstakes and unite Giannis with Curry, it will take everything they have left, and it still may not be enough to beat the best opposing offers. If the Warriors want Giannis, their best hope now is for Curry to keep recruiting him and hope that he forces the Bucks to send him where he wants to go. Together, they could rule the West and establish a new dynasty in Golden State that will rival their best days in the Kevin Durant era. And you, fan? What do you think about Antetokounmpo's situation? Write to us in the comments.